Hello and welcome to my vlog. I am William A. Rumley and this is my journey to writing. Stay tuned and enjoy this once a week vlog. Hi and welcome back to the vlog. Welcome to vlog 62. And this is a milestone vlog because something very important has happened. I am starting Monday. I'll be returning back to book 2. I'll be returning back to Verdoria. And I'll talk a bit about that in part 1 of this vlog. And then part 2 we'll do with the archetype of the adversary. And I've chosen to use a transcender as an adversary so that we can be look at the adversary from the point of view I'm using in these books. And then I got updates, music. Stay tuned, fun stuff coming. Hang in there. Going from Cylinder back to Verdoria. So in book 2 is Verdoria, the stories of the Darkins, and we learn and see that with Rick and Billy as they are the mentors that go into the world, find their heroes, and return Verdoria to its epic storyline. And it has its opposers from the Agents of the Dark and his things that he's made. I have to say that I am a little sad for stopping Song of Suffering because I've been enjoying it so much, but that's good. I can work on it later. I have some, I am happy to dive back into the rewrite on Monday, and I will take you into the behind the scenes of what I'll be doing to process that rewrite and the kind of feedback I got. One of the biggest things that I have done, I've changed the title. So I am now announcing that Detonate is going to become Detonate for Morgana's Dawn. And there's a couple of reasons for this. First off, I wanted to make sure Detonate, which is a singular word, didn't already have a big digital footprint as far as books go and books in sci-fi. And unfortunately, it does. So I need to give it more of a title in order for it to have the right algorithms and be findable for you. So that's why I decided on the For Morgana's Dawn to be added to it. It also makes it more aligned and matched with the other books in the series. Revolt on Prime, Detonate for Morgana's Prime, Song of Suffering, Echo Unnamed. These these are more aligned, whereas Detonate, a single word, doesn't work very well. So I am now incorporating it into the book. I'm incorporating it. It'll soon be on the website after this vlog. And Chris is going to have it in his mind as he's doing his final drafts for the pre-work on the painting. Even though he doesn't paint the title on, I do that myself. So that's why I think that's why Detonate is now Detonate for Morgana's done. Also, it makes you more aligned with It's a Story of Morgana, which is the village of hope for the Darken. Okay, and all of this started because my beta reader has returned to me on the notes for the book. He only read through the first half of the book, but he's given me enough notes to be able to deal with the whole of the book and the story. And he's going to keep reading, and if he has any more addition, he will give that to me. Um, there, it's a draft. And in the first draft, I was still writing like I was telling a story. But when you're dealing with a novel, you want to make it interesting and invest the characters and to give them discoveries. And what's more important, in Prime, it was easier to describe because living underwater is something we kind of know in our lives. We can go and dive, or we can watch TV shows that go deep diving into the ocean. So that was easier for me to bring up those images in your mind when you were reading. Whereas Verdoria is a completely alien world around a trinary star system. And that needs a better description. I also need to slow down a little bit to let you soak it in. And I do jump around between characters. I'm telling about this character, then the next step, telling about those characters. But what I really need to do was let you feel what those characters feel. Why what you're seeing is a wonder to them. And I have started to do that in book three, but I have to revisit it here in book one. Um, I also have to take a look at the book structure because I'm staying with one character a little bit too long, 2 or 3 chapters with this group of characters, and then go 2 or 3 chapters with that, and then later on go one, 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 one. And that inconsistency is made it a little bit harder for my beta reader to read the story and understand it. Um, so I'm going to relook at the chapter structure and get it more aligned. And then there is a big story that I inject in the middle of Act One of this book, which literally can go anywhere in the book, but is needed for the ending. And I'm going to be more strategic about that big story and put it at a resting point in the storyline, maybe between parts 2 and 3. And this gives a reader get everything all excited, and then we go dance with Uncle, and then we come back to the story. And then I also have to do a revisit back into where were we? So that walking with Uncle component I'm calling is quite interesting in its own right. It's a short story in its own right, and yet it's still a connection to the fable of what's going on. Essentially, it's the story of what Albert and Everett is doing while Rick and Billy are playing on Verdoria. So what will the process be for my rewrite? First thing I would do is I'll read through all the notes my beta reader has given me and characterize the feedback into characters, plots, pacing, and world building, and decide what changes are essential and optional. Then I'll re-outline the whole book, so realign the paragraph or the chapters and the structure with the input, and then start rewriting the scene by scene. I'll take care of the tracking of the improvements and the emotional beats to make sure each chapter is more complete. I keep the new title as a guiding star, and I feel this is going to make the book even stronger. One of the things that the beta told me is that the first 5 chapters didn't grab him. And in any novel, the first 5 chapters is how much most people invest in the book before they make the decision to carry on and put it away. So what I have to do is bring that excitement, bring that interest up in the first 5 chapters to make the reader stay. And then every chapter is hooked to move into the next chapter. And that's all the stuff that we talked about, how to write chapters in last week's vlog. I feel that the new title will also energize me in doing this work. It's an exciting milestone to actually come to this point in book two. It felt that way in book one, but the difference is in book one, I did all these processes as well, but I didn't move on to doing the other processes. I did while I was waiting for the editor to start writing book two, but I hadn't learned anything yet from the input to make book two better. Now I've gotten that input twice and I've been using it already in book three, so now I can bring that back to me into book two. I'm excited to bring this going. The goal is to take the next 2 months to rewrite book two, if longer. I do have an appointment with my editor to give it to her at the end of August. Um, if there's delays, but I do want to give this attention because there's a part of me that's in this book, and it's really very a story that I really want to get out there. A story I think that you will also learn to love. So it's a wrap. And now we'll move into the next part of the vlog, which will be the character archetype of the adversary. Okay, the adversary is not one of the 8 archetypes, but it is one of the more stronger required elements you have to have in your story, whether it's science fiction, fantasy, superhero, action, even detective novels. You got to have an adversary. And that adversary is the completion of your hero. The We'll talk more on that later. But as we think and talk about it, think of the adversary when a lone figure climbs on the ridge at dusk and the world is quiet, a little too quiet. Then from the far side of the ridge a second silhouette rises, not a monster, not a demon, but a presence, equal in stature, equal in intensity, equal in destiny. The two figures, one path, only one can continue. They are titans and the story begins. Let us invoke the adversary, the threshold keeper, breaker of complacency. You who stand where the hero's path narrows, step forward. Let your challenge be clear. Let your resistance be honest. Let your presence carve the hero into something sharper than they were before. And I choose to represent this with one of my transcenders. The adversary is a cosmic counterweight. It's not always evil, it's not always corrupt, but is always necessary. It is a force that says you cannot pass unchanged. Mythically, the adversary is a guardian of evolution. It is the mountain that refuses to move, the rival who refuses to yield, the storm that refuses to calm. Without the adversary, the hero's journey is a straight line. With the adversary, it becomes a crucible. And in the power of the adversary, the intimate core is it's personal. It knows the hero's strengths and the hero's weaknesses. It knows exactly where to apply pressure. The emotional core is not hatred, it's recognition. The adversary sees the hero clearly, sometimes more clearly than the hero sees themselves. And in that clarity, conflict becomes inevitable. Here's where, for the transcenders, I have to step in and say, this is an alien race with advanced technology. The little yellow guy is the transcender, but he lives inside technology that allows him to express himself in the real world as living holograms or in the dreaming world as his presence. The mask that an adversary wears, the outer mask, is usually in opposition. The adversary appears as the rival or tyrant, the challenger or the hunter, the force of order or chaos that blocks the hero's path. This is the mask that the world sees. I stand against you. But deep down in the inner mask, the catalyst, beneath the surface of the adversary is something more profound, an agent of transformation. Its true function is not to destroy the hero, but to force the hero to become worthy of their destiny. This mask whispers, rise or fall. When the adversary is in its shadow form, when corrupted, the adversary becomes a devourer of paths. This dark form manifests as an obsession, domination, cruelty, the hunger to break rather than to challenge, the refusal to let the hero evolve. The shadow adversary says, if I cannot win, I will ruin the game. This is the adversary who has lost their sacred purpose. In the adversary's light form is a sacred challenger, the highest expression. It becomes the rival who sharpens the hero, the opponent who demands excellence, the guardian who tests worthiness, the force that reveals hidden strengths, the necessary resistance that makes transformation real. The light adversary says, prove yourself. It is not always cruel, it is not always malicious, but it is always necessary. The adversary has a profound essence and mystical resonance in the cultures of the world and in the fiction of the modern mythology. Across mythic traditions, the adversary appears as a force that tests the hero's right to ascend. In Greek myths, Hector, the noble rival who defies Achilles' greatness. In the Norse myths, Surtur, the fire giant whose opposition marks the end and rebirth of worlds. In the Hindu tradition, Karna, the tragic equal of Arjun. Those presents elevate the series epic, or the entire epic. Japanese lore, the Oni, who guard sacred thresholds, test those who seek passage. In the Christian tradition, the adversary is the tester of resolve, the examiner of faiths. African epics, the revival, the rival chieftain whose challenge determines the future of the tribe. The adversary is a universal, and its growth requires resistance. And in modern fiction, in the superhero world, you can also say the Joker is the adversary to the Batman, the Green Goblin is the adversary to Spider-Man, and Loki is the adversary to Thor. And the list goes on. If you want to write a good story with a powerful hero, you need a powerful adversary. I've said this for time and time and time again. Every superhero movie with a moderately bad adversary does poor. Doesn't matter how good the superhero part is, the adversary is as important, if not stronger in importance, than the character. In the saga The Warden of the Dawns, I use the adversary in multiple ways and multiple times throughout the storylines. Sometimes it's a rival, sometimes it's a leader, sometimes it's a force in nature, sometimes a friend whose path divulges. But one figure, one critical presence embodies the pure adversary, a being whose opposition is not born from malice, but of destiny. The challenge will define the arc of more than just one hero. This is a picture that I've made from book 3, and that is the Transcender General Minx and her Transcender army. You into the future. Let the ridge fall away, let the adversary's silhouette dissolve back into the dust. Its challenge echoes faintly as the world exhales. We honor the adversary, the one who stands before the hero, so the hero must learn to stand within themselves. But as the path quits, another presence stirs, not an opponent, not a rival, but something far more intimate. A tremor breaks beneath the ribs, a whisper behind the heartbeat. A shape forms in the corner of the mind. Next week, we descend inward, not towards an enemy, but towards the shadow, the archetype that does not block the path, but lives inside it. The adversary tests the hero's strength, and the shadow tests the hero's soul. And is it waiting? And now it's time for updates. So, book 1 is on sale, and again, still coming alive. It will be a month or two before I actually see the full sales report, but I do hear and feel and see there's a lot of interaction with my social media. I'm doing weekly, I'm doing 2 reels that I'm releasing on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and I'm doing this vlog, which I'm releasing every week on YouTube and Facebook, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And I watch the views. It used to be in the past you had to watch the likes, but I've also noticed that many people who watch the vlogs don't think it's cool anymore to click likes because likes mean money. It doesn't mean it for me. I have not monetized. So, book 1 is on sale and is available for you right now. Book, and if you want to get it, you can go to your favorite location and get it. Amazon has the hardcover, the paperback, and the ebook. Lulu has the hardcover, the paperback, the ebook, and the trade paperback. Trade paperback's about 6 weeks behind going global distribution. There was something that was making it stuck in the system, which I finally got past. But now that will be available to you on all the platforms that will cover print books in about 6 weeks. If you want it now, you have to go to Lulu. Lulu is my primary platform. It's also where I get the most benefit from a sale. It's also that's the company that prints the books no matter where you buy them anyway. And if you go through my website, I also give you access to a discount page that tells you the most recent discounts Lulu is running, so you can get a discount on your purchase. That's book one, Revolt on Prime. Book two, Detonate for Morgana's Dawn. I start rewriting on Monday, as we've seen in part one of this vlog. Book three, Song of Suffering. The draft is, I've gotten through chapters 15 out of 37. I'm now putting that on hold while I do book two rewrite, and then when I finish book two rewrite, I go finish off the draft from book three. And here's the way it works. After I've given the beta reader book three, and if my editor is still working on book two, I start book four. So I'm just going to keep working on all the books until I get them all in these progresses. Every book will be written about 3 or 4 times, gone through two processes of review and editing. And then, oh yeah, and Chris is working hard on the final drafts. This week I should see some things to approve, and then he's going to start slapping paint to canvas soon. I'm still looking at 2 books to publish in next year. That's my goal. And then we will see how that works out. Um, I'm also planning on changing things. As you can see, my background in this nice easy chair is not necessarily the best writing location, but it's what I got in my house. I am planning on building a new writing location that's more writer-oriented, a desk filled with the things that I like to see and inspire me as I'm writing. I'm calling it my writer's nook. And hopefully in a month I'll be able to get that activated, and then you'll be seeing a different background and different coloration because I'll be in a different part of my house. You know, some days the inspiration comes to me in a variety of different ways, and I've been working on this album for about a couple of weeks now, and I finally come up with the 7 fiber, the Transcender Realms. And these songs are about the 7 worlds of the Transcender Realms, starting with Prime, going to Verdoria, Cylinder, Nicoria, Aquaterra, Megalonus, the Waking World, Verona, and then a song about the 3 agencies, Life, Dark, and the Weaver. And this is a free song. It's now the 4th album I put out. It's not available on my website. It is available through my Facebook fans group, Fans of the Wardens of the Dawn. And that's a public group that anybody can join. And I encourage you to join it if you're not there. I've also give free images for you to download and print to be able to do different things. I got phone covers. I got a bookmark out there. Now put the last 2 albums, From Dreams to Eternity and the 7 fiber Transcender Realms, are both there. Revolt on Prime and Tapestry of Eternity will still be on the website. And there will be a link. I'm going to put a link on the website to get to the Fans of the Wardens of the Dawn, so you can also join. Fans is where I want to get your input. Fans is where I want to hear from you. We'll do surveys. I'll give you these freebies. This is where you can interact with me better. And if you don't like Facebook, you can also do it here in YouTube by leaving comments on this video. As I reflect on this week, it was um, fun and challenging, and the interaction I had with the beta reader has also been very positive. And that makes me feel good. It makes me realize that I am making something worthwhile to make. And I hope as you start reading book one and as you watch my vlogs and you consume my content on the different platforms, that you see that I have a saga built up into me. And one of the things I also want to say is after I've written 7 books, I'm just beginning. There are ideas that I'm coming up with standalone books, with new sagas, new series. I want to go back and revisit each world with a book of short stories for that world and give you guys a lore building for everything that we've done so far and everything that we're going to do. And well, I've got to keep busy until it's time, right? I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next week. Bill out.